the center of trauma are issues of power. Power as it's exercised over us as women, power as in the power that we have or don't have, power as defined by our context, our culture, our tradition. So we need to take a feminist approach so as to be able to understand all these different elements that are connected with trauma.
What I've learned in my work is that trauma is not only is not only physical. Trauma has various dimensions, and you can be affected by trauma. For example, some of the research that I've done about sexual violence in the DRC has shown me that actually, women can be traumatized not only because they have been raped, but also they have lost their livelihoods because they have been raped. They cannot farm their land because they don't have the strength and the physical health, and also because of security reasons they cannot farm the land because that's where they are being raped, and it affects communities. And it traumatizes an entire community because women are the main productive forces in the community. They are the one who feed the community. They are the one who provide the food.
We have to build a transformative feminist approach because as a continent we've gone through a lot of pain. As a continent we have experienced a multiplicity of discrimination, a multiplicity of inequality. And if we're going to talk about a feminist approach to well-being, it has to relate to our experiences. So for someone who has not gone through a war, they can talk about feminist, but it will not relate to someone who's gone through war, someone who's living under poverty, someone who's living under extreme inequality. We have to relate it. And for someone, for example, as a practitioner, as a women's rights defender in a country where all those are existing, discrimination at all levels, working with very fractured women and girls, you really have to define. You define it to suit the context.
So in my thinking about what transformative is, it's not a response after the fact. It's actually a response that involves preventing the whole process of violence against women. And so transformative approaches to trauma are approaches that are going to have to take seriously what are the real causes of trauma. So causes such as power dynamics in society, the injustice that leads to violence against women, as well as issues of gender inequality. So transformative approaches are also approaches that are going to look at trauma from a holistic perspective.
My understanding of a transformative feminist approach to counseling is counseling that affirms women as human beings. And it's counseling that reminds them of that, because some have forgotten that. They have forgotten that they are human beings with rights, with feelings, with thoughts, with intelligence. And it's counseling that, for me, I imagine an onion that peels out these hard parts that have been built by socialization, by communities, societies, but it's counseling that peels that up until the woman can discover that core, that at my core, I am a human being who has got a right to space. I often tell women, you've got to walk like you own the space. This is also your space, So it's counseling that does that. It's also counseling that is patient enough to understand that this healing takes time because of cultural beliefs, because of sometimes religious beliefs, and therefore we need to tread with respect, because sometimes people think that they're doing that transformative feminist counseling and then they don't realize that they're chasing the woman away because the change is too much. I cannot handle this. My context still doesn't allow me to stand up to men. So it's counseling that's patient enough, that is creative enough to acknowledge that you have been formed in this way and it's okay. But to keep asking, is it still meaningful for you? Does it work for you? And if it doesn't, how can you slowly renegotiate in your relationships? Not in a way that's going to place you at risk, not in a way that's going to make the whole community reject you, but in a way where you're going to slowly negotiate in your relationship with men, your relationship with older women, because, some of us are living in urban areas, but we're married to, my in-laws are in the village. So I have to move between the two worlds. And in this world, I've got rank because I am a leader at work. I am an equal to my husband. But when I get to my husband's family, it's a different setup. So I have to be creative around how I negotiate that context.
A transformative feminist approach is one I feel that puts the client at the center of the service, so this client helps to define the outcomes that they want to see in life rather than have them imposed through professional academia and knowledges that people have by virtue of their learning and trainings and the processes they've gone through in life as separate persons.
We used just to think that we can come as practitioner, we are above the client and we are the one who come with our knowledge, all our science, and come to impose. But I think that after we discover that we need to really, before you give an answer or help someone, you need to understand what is the problem that someone is facing, and he will normally be a part of the solution. That is a feminist transformative. That means the client is himself a part of the solution and he is included there. And secondly, also, we need to have this global and holistic approach. It's not only a part of fragmentation, but it's a whole person that is there in the center.
First and foremost, feminist approach is about sisterhood. It is an approach that provides you a space where it's not the feminist who is busy citing what to do. It enables even the victim, as they call them, but I call her the survivor, to actually shape what should be done. The survivor becomes the center of knowledge of what should be done. Why is it that we never ask people when they are traumatized that what would you want me to do? So feminist approach provides that flexibility. It gives time and space. For example, women whom we have worked with since 1996, we are still following them up to today. We also provide them opportunity to tell their own story and the solutions. Feminist approach is one which gives one an ability to know that she can reclaim her own space and dignity. So it's about giving space. It's about knowing that you also have a solution. It's about the survivor knowing that she's safe. It's about the survivor also knowing that nobody is going to point a finger to her. She's not going to be committed to something that she doesn't want. She will choose the kind of approach that she wants to use. Feminist approach looks at this woman holistically, from the body, the mind, and the spirit. What I mean by that is she's not only going to look at the mental well-being, oh, this woman is so traumatized, to give her that relief. But she will go in and start looking at, has she eaten? What else does she have? What about her children? So she looks at this person who needs help holistically. And that's why I challenge the mainstream. Sincerely speaking, how do you expect a person who is traumatized to be talking to you and listening to all those jargons you are giving her when she has taken 3 days without eating? And then you say, oh, that is boxed in another aspect. It is post-conflict reconstruction. We shall deal with it when she's being reconstructed. Please, in the African context, and I will maybe focus on that, if you want to heal a woman, particularly a woman, heal her body, heal her spirit. And her spirit is about her household. She will never heal when she knows that her children have gone without food. They can't go to school. So it is the entire aspect of, when I talk about the body, the physical. The mind is about trying to help her know that that is not the end of the day. And the spiritual well-being is kind of feeding the soul. So where is the economic resilience of making this woman really be able to heal?
For me, feminism is about women moving beyond their individually perceived realities. And we see this in our groups all the time. So that's, for me, is feminist work, where they come in saying, complaining about husband this and husband that. They're incredibly oppressed. They often are beaten up and experience quite gross gender violence. But I can't leave because of the children, or because there's no money, or because he loves me, or because he's the only person who ever loved me. And when they share those experiences with other women, they realize that it is a common and shared experience. And some women have already moved a bit further and are able to say, but actually, you can do something about this. Or you have some rights. Actually, what about your dignity?
For me, it's quite an exciting thing when we are able to work with women, because women's voices, historically, culturally, socially, they haven't really been the most important voices. And in counseling, that is the first thing that you get to understand, that my voice is important, because the counselor sits there and allows your voice to grow louder and allows you to weep. Maybe you come from a family where you're not allowed to cry, or you're not given that space, or you're told it's a woman's job, get on with it, you know? Or as a caregiver, you come from a context where you're told that a woman is not supposed to rest. And all of a sudden you come to this space and this context where you are told that it's okay to rest, it's okay to sleep, it's okay to take a nap. So I feel excited when we are able to reach women in that way. So because we are able to model and teach, not in an arrogant way, but teach new ways of being a woman in the world or in Africa.
The issue of transformation is very central to my heart, because I think small project-oriented work is really not doing us any good, and we are going to continue like this for centuries unless if we invest in real transformation. And for me, feminist transformation is addressing the very structures of power that keep us in this position. Yes, we might come to all these workshops, talk about all these issues, but if we don't address the issue of power,
how we conceptualize it, those of us working on the issues, how we live it, those working in the issues and all of us around us, then we just end up going around in circles. And I feel feminist analysis and also transformative work is what we actually need.